The Walkers had seen it all: speech therapists, child psychologists, trauma specialists. Sofia would sit through every session, attentive, present, and completely silent. At home, she understood everything. She responded with gestures, nods, looks. She was a bright, aware, fully present child, just without a voice. Over time, the family learned to communicate without expecting a reply. It wasn't acceptance, it was adaptation. And there's a huge difference between the two. What changed everything was something small, almost unnoticeable. Sofia was 5 when she pressed her forehead against the window and, watching a dog pass by on the street, whispered, "Dog." Laura was standing in the doorway. She froze. She asked again. Sofia didn't repeat it. Weeks later, a German Shepherd appeared on TV. Sofia pointed at the screen and said, "Big!" Thomas jumped off the couch, so fast he knocked over his glass. Both parents stood still, afraid that any wrong move might scare the moment away like a bird. It only happened with dogs. Only then, 1 or 2 words. And then the silence returned. Sofia's new therapist, a young woman named Anna, listened carefully to everything. Then she said something that took Laura's breath away. Maybe they should take Sofia to an animal shelter, just to be around dogs. No pressure, no expectations. Thomas said no immediately. Laura did too. After the crow incident, they had avoided animals for years. The idea of bringing Sofia into a place full of unknown dogs felt reckless, maybe even irresponsible. But Anna gently reminded them. Dogs were the only thing that made Sofia speak. So, they went. At the shelter entrance, a volunteer named Vera welcomed them and said they could leave at any time. Inside, it was loud, doors slamming, overlapping barks, voices echoing through the air. Laura leaned down and asked Sofia if she was okay. Sofia nodded and took a step forward. She walked slowly past the kennels. A golden retriever jumped against the gate. She looked and kept going. A terrier spun in circles, barking. She paused, then moved on. Dog after dog, cage after cage. No words, no reaction. Thomas gently squeezed Laura's shoulder. She knew exactly what he was thinking. The hallway was almost over. At the far end, in the darkest corner, there was one last kennel. Vera stepped closer and quietly explained, that dog had been there for 3 months. A border collie named Nina. She didn't react to staff, to visitors, not even to other animals. She barely ate, hardly moved. She just lay there, in the corner, facing away from the world. Several families had shown interest. None stayed after seeing her behavior. There was something in Vera's voice, a kind of exhaustion, the kind that comes from caring too long for animals others have already given up on. Sofia walked up to the kennel and stopped. Nina was lying in the corner, her back turned. 1 second passed, then another, and then Sofia, calm, completely steady, said, "Come here." Nina lifted her head slowly. She stood up and walked straight to the gate, straight to Sofia. She stopped there, looking at the girl with dark, attentive eyes. Sofia reached her hand through the bars and gently touched her head. Nina didn't pull away. She leaned in, rested into that small hand. Vera stood frozen beside the walkers. A staff member stepped out from a nearby door, saw the scene, and stopped too. Thomas turned away. Laura knew he didn't want her to see the tears, and Sofia smiled. Not politely, not hesitantly, but fully, with her whole face, the way she hadn't smiled in a long time. Vera came back a few minutes later with a file. Nina's story was short and heavy. A year earlier, her owner had brought her in and said just one word before leaving: broken. He explained that during a storm, Nina had been so terrified by thunder that she ran away and spent days outside alone. After that, she changed, stopped responding to commands, stopped eating normally, stopped coming close. He decided there was something wrong with her. Vera closed the file and looked at Sofia, still petting Nina through the bars. Then she looked at Thomas and Laura and said slowly, "She's not broken. She was just scared," and shut down. She was waiting for someone who understood her. Laura couldn't tell if Vera was talking about the dog or about her daughter. Maybe both. Nina came home with the walkers 4 days later. During the first week, she barely left the corner of Sofia's room where they had placed her bed. She ate little, moved carefully, watched everything with cautious eyes. Sofia didn't push her, didn't try to pull her closer. She simply sat on the floor nearby, doing her own things, flipping through a book, drawing, stacking blocks, as if just being there, side by side, was enough. On the 5th night, the baby monitor lit up. Thomas and Laura grabbed their phone. On the screen, they saw Sofia sitting in the dark, beside Nina's bed, whispering to her. They couldn't hear the words, only her lips moving. Nina lay there, watching her, without looking away. Thomas turned off the screen. He stayed quiet for a long moment, then said, "We won't interrupt them." Laura nodded. 3 months passed. Nina no longer hid. She greeted Sofia at the door, followed her around the house, slept beside her bed. Gentle, attentive, always there, like a silent shadow, and Sofia was blooming. She started speaking to Nina in front of her parents, calmly, without hesitation, as if the words had always been there, just waiting for the right moment. Then, one night, Sofia walked into the kitchen while Laura was cooking and said, "Mom, Nina wants to eat." Laura dropped the pan, knelt down, wrapped her daughter in a hug so tight that Sofia laughed and asked to be let go. It was the first time in 4 years Laura had heard that kind of laughter. A month later, Sofia's kindergarten teacher called that night, her voice full of excitement. She said Sofia had raised her hand in class and answered a question out loud. She couldn't even wait until the next day to share it. 6 months after that day at the shelter, Vera called to check in. Laura answered, then said, "Hold on a second." She called Sofia. Sofia took the phone, paused for a moment, then said, "Hi, this is Sofia." On the other end, Vera didn't respond right away. After a long pause, Laura realized she was quietly crying. Later, when Laura asked Sofia why Nina had helped her speak again, the girl thought for a moment and simply said, because she was scared too, and she still came closer. For 4 years, doctors and specialists did everything they could, and they truly tried. But what medicine couldn't do in 4 years, a dog in the corner of a shelter did in a single night. Because Nina didn't see Sofia as a patient. She saw someone who understood her without words. And sometimes, that's exactly where real healing begins. Not in a clinic, but in the silence between two beings who choose, for no obvious reason, to trust each other.